Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
This is Andy Rowe from RowPaint.com. If you've thought about finishing your garage floor, patio, or business, give us a call. We have dozens of floor coating options to fit a variety of budgets and tastes. From polishing to stone finishes, decorative chips, and more, RowPaint.com is the largest applicator of specialty coatings in the Treasure Valley. Let the official coatings company of the Broncos bring you a 5-star experience and product.
My husband and I are like, we should have done this sooner, and it really changes your garage. Like your garage is just so much cleaner, and it stays so much cleaner. I'm not really sure how that's possible, but it does. And it's literally my favorite room in our house right now. I would definitely recommend Row Paint to my friends, family, and neighbors. The outcome was amazing. The process was amazing. Row Paint was so awesome, and I am highly impressed, and I would use them for other things as well.
RowPaint.com. Power in people, pride in painting.
Get ready for the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at CircaLasVegas.com.
What? Dude. Fish on.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Monday to you. Welcome on in to the Cutwater Spirits mobile studios here at Bronco Nation News. We are having some fun on a Monday. We got Mike Prater with us there in downtown Boise at the KTIK studios, our partnership with KTIK. This is Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com and our various social media channels. Hopefully you're subscribing to YouTube. That's the big one we're trying to push as we get close to 5,000 here. And while you're at it, go find the KTIK YouTube channel and subscribe to them as well. You can watch their daily video segment and things on the show there. It's going to be a fun show when we have our pre-show meeting, at like 6:30, Mike Prater. We get into some hard-hitting stuff and what we want to talk about, and found out Mike Prater's a little grumpy this morning. So I said, Leon Rice, look out. We'll see. How we doing, Mike?
I am a little bit grumpy today, but that's okay. I'm grumpy all the time. So it's just business as usual around here. My hockey team lost last night. My basketball team didn't matter. I forgot to watch the Kentucky Derby, but I'm definitely caught up on Boise State sports. Actually, Leon Rice is on my good side these days. He's doing some good things. He's got me curious. He's got me fired up. He's given us some things to talk about, and certainly some other things to talk about over these next couple of weeks. So we're good to go on a Monday, BJ.
Not sure if you've watched it yet. Not sure if others have watched this. I'm not going to give it away. Not going to ask you about it, but I do highly recommend for folks out there that Tom Brady roast last night. I loved it. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty funny. I mean, you can't watch it with kids in the room, no doubt. There was certainly some X-rated stuff discussed, but it was hilarious. I liked it. I had a great Sunday night watching that. Stayed up a little too late watching that. I wasn't watching it live, and I kept seeing so many tweets about it. I had to go restart it at 10 p.m. on Netflix, and it was great. I loved it. So folks should go watch that and check that out. There was a lot going on this weekend, and yes, I apologize to your Las Vegas Golden Knights. I root for them just because of Circa. I know that Circa does better if the Knights win, and I know that would have been good. They're a sponsor of theirs, and that was a tough one. But I did play the Circa commercial today, Mike Prater, and we have a ton of stuff. We're just going to be all over the place for 40 minutes today. But I did I don't know if we've officially announced it or not, but last week I did have a call with Derek Stevens and the marketing team at Circa, and we have officially agreed to another 1-year deal here with Circa as one of our sponsors at BNN. So get ready to be heading back to Circa, Mike Prater.
I love that. I love that. And I know Derek Stevens, you're a good buddy. I had a chance to meet him at a couple of weeks ago and drink some libations with him. And I know he's a big fan. You can see him right there on the glass for home games and stuff. But that's good. That's good to hear. Hopefully that means we can hang out together a little bit in July for media days and who knows what else. And maybe next March when Boise State and Leon Rice are chasing Mountain West basketball championships again. So looking forward to that. Always appreciate what you do and always appreciate Derek and the boys. And I know he's always hanging around. I forget his name now. The hockey dude. You introduced us to the hockey guy. He had a two-year NHL career game. He scored on his first game and never scored again. So I know hockey's important to the fellas at Circa.
Scored 2 goals in his first NHL game and then literally never scored again in his NHL career. So, yeah, that's my boy Darren Banks. We actually have Tyler Mays. I think at some point you met him, maybe at Media Days last year or something, but before we went to the airport. But my buddy Tyler Mays, who's an executive casino host there and kind of in Derek Stevens, inner circle, so to speak. He is coming out for the second straight year for the Bronco Nation News Golf Tournament on May 31st. I'm super excited to have him. Tried to get Circa is sponsoring a hole, by the way, and we appreciate that. Last year they were passing out fireball shots at their hole, Mike Prater. That was hole 8, I believe, the closest to the pin. Also, they sponsored that last year. So they are going to probably have some more libations at their hole again. I mean, that feels only right for Circa to be being kind of the party hole. But I'm looking forward to having. I tried to get Derek out. He's just not much of a golfer, and the 2 out, the flight each way was a little too much. But one of these years we will get Derek Stevens to Boise. Maybe it's when we can. It's probably 30 years from now, but if Idaho ever legalizes sports gambling, maybe we can get Derek Stevens up here. They will open. My dream is they open a new, brick and mortar, whatever it's called, sports book for Circa Sports, and that's where the studio for BNN can be, and they can be our, we can have some big things going there at some point if we can ever get it. But knowing that's probably, it's wishful thinking, right? That's not going to happen anytime soon.
That's not going to happen anytime soon, and that's probably okay for the Circa folks, because if we had a Circa here in Boise, how much fun would that be to go to Circa in Vegas all the time? So Circa in Vegas is definitely one of our new favorite destinations. Absolutely love that place. I've always been a Vegas guy. You've always been a Vegas guy. This certainly makes it a lot easier. But, yeah, don't be waiting too long on that one, BJ. I'll definitely be retired, and you'll probably be pretty damn close.
Well, again, looking forward to having Circa out here for the tournament. We are sold out of the morning, Mike Prater. 32 foursomes, the maximum you can have in the morning. We are still selling some foursomes for the afternoon, and we're going to have some cool stuff for the afternoon. I don't know why, Mike Prater, but some people, the morning is seen as the more popular one, but it's the same giveaways, same deal. Everything's exactly the same in the afternoon. And we're even going to have some other cool giveaways in the afternoon for folks that maybe think they're getting slighted or something, but everything is exactly the same. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have Jonah Dalmas and I believe Maddox Madsen doing the celebrity shot this year, Mike Prater, on hole 17 there. We've got a lot of other players coming out. It's going to be a lot of fun. As I said, Spencer Danielson for the first time is coming out. And new this year is an event the night before the tournament. Mike Prater, it starts at 6, so hopefully you can shoot over after you get off on Thursday. But Spencer Danielson, some of our players, coaches are going to be basically mingling happy hour style, talking, meeting fans, and then we're going to do a little quick Q&A on stage with some of the coaches, including Spencer Danielson. So really intimate event. We only have about 150 tickets available for that. That's going first to anyone that's in the tournament. So if you want to go to that, sign up for a foursome. Come the night before. It's going to be a really cool event. And again, I've just really enjoyed having this. We will have the Degenhart Dozens out there again. Tyson Degenhart's going to be out there, I know. And the hole-in-one hole, by the way, I've been informed that I can now say this, Mike Prater, the Lithia Ford of Boise, hole 6, they have NIL deals, as you know, with 4 football players, and they have it set up this year where Ahmed Hassanin and Andrew Simpson and the guys will be at the hole meeting folks and taking pictures and passing out some little footballs they're going to sign. So we're making it bigger and better every year, but Jonah Dalmas. I mentioned, Matt Lauder, Andrew Simpson. Their NIL guys are going to be out there at the course as part of this. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a new era here with Spencer Danielson, kind of allowing some of this stuff to happen and himself coming out there. And we're really looking forward to this. So again, it's May 31st at Timberstone. Morning is sold out. Afternoon has a couple spots left. Don't wait. Fill it. Let's sell this thing out. We make a little money, a very little amount of money, to pay back the expenses and just the time hours that we put into this. But this is largely a fundraiser for the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. We've given them over $13,000 the last 2 years from this tournament. So I'm hoping to get it. We were 5 the first year, Mike, then 8. I'm hoping to get it to 10,000 that we can donate this year, which hopefully gets us another invite to that dinner again, because that was fun a couple of weeks ago. But again, sign up now, BroncoNationNews.com/golf. BroncoNationNews.com/golf, or you can email me, Rains@BroncoNationNews.com. And again, afternoon foursomes. Let's sell it out. Let's fill this place. What could be better than watching Mike Prater, just drain a 14-foot putt for Eagle for his team at some point?
Last year it was a birdie. I actually made a 40-footer for a birdie on a par 3. So I think we got ourselves a net 1 on that hole last year. So I'm good for 2 or 3 strokes around. Love this tournament. Love Idaho Youth Sports Commission. Love what you do to put this thing together. And that's amazing in terms of the growth. I've been involved with these for a long time. So many of them, in fact, that I kind of stopped doing it until this one came around. I love this one. The logistics of what you do behind the scenes is off the charts. I think you and your wife, what you do in terms of putting this stuff together is amazing. So kudos to you and to Karen and the whole BNN gang for getting out there. But Johnny and I just show up and do nothing. I mean, I'm there for the donuts. Johnny's there to meet and greet people and tell everybody who he is. And we get a lot of selfish satisfaction out of it, but it's a really cool deal. So thanks again for doing it, and can't wait to get out there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I assume you guys will get Spencer on the show while he's out there, and some of the other guests, and it's going to be a lot of fun. You guys have the show broadcast right there, and kind of works out nicely for the folks that play in the morning. They can have lunch, hang out, watch you guys do the show. You have a little speaker out there, so folks can have another drink or two and hang out and do the show. And last year we almost made it. We did the afternoon session, Mike Prater, and then literally on hole 18 it started raining. Folks were on their last hole, and it started raining, and it ended up being kind of a hectic fun, I guess you can say. And I don't remember if it was the timing. I think you guys had just finished the show and were packed up by then. But it was a fun day. We are adding to it again, as I said, with this happy hour event the night before. And we're going to try to raise a little more money that night as well. So hope you guys can make it. Sign up now, BroncoNationNews.com. Mike, I know you were off for a couple of days last week, but they did announce that the $1 million prize for the basketball tournament, the team Once a Bronco is back, and James Reed is back involved in this. And we announced that Bronco Nation News is the official media partner, I guess, of this team. And every Thursday throughout the next 2 months, we're going to be announcing different players that are playing on this team, and they will come on for live interviews. And we had the first announcement last week. Justinian Jessup is the first player on this team. He joined us live from Germany, and we'll have another one. And this is another hint, I guess, here, Mike Prater, from way, way, way far from here. We'll be setting a record probably for our live guests on Thursday. They're having to make this work at a really weird time for them. But every Thursday, we're going to be announcing this. And I'm just curious, Mike Prater, again, they did it a couple years ago. It kind of flamed out. James Reed's doing a much better job with this. But the coolest thing I think on this is the event they're doing at Bora High School on July 17th, a 3-point contest, a dunk contest, and a full game. And this is featuring the current Boise State team against these guys in the Legends Classic type thing. And then there's also going to be literally a Legends bracket where the Matt Bouchers, Nick Duncans, Abe Jacksons of the world can get out here for the 3-point contest. If you're a Boise State basketball fan in the last 30 years, I think you're really, really going to enjoy this night. It's at Bora High School. Tickets are just $10. You can sign up now. And, there's not a ton of quote-unquote history, Mike Prater, with Boise State basketball, but the fact that if you've been following this team for the last 20, 30 years, a lot of your favorite players are going to be under one roof at Bora High School to raise money for this team on July 17th. It's going to be pretty cool.
I like that. I like that a lot. And the tournament itself doesn't really do much for me, but the kids coming back here and doing the community stuff, getting everybody involved. I love the reunion stuff, getting everybody back together to play games. still being competitive. It sounds like they're very serious about this. And anytime you can get a chance to compete for $1 million, that's pretty cool. So this just sprouts all kinds of cool stuff about this basketball program as it continues to grow. I know I give Leon a lot of crap about, March results, but the way this basketball program has grown, and I'm not just talking about on the court in February, in March, roster style, just the ancillary stuff of these kinds of tournaments and bringing guys back and getting more people involved. It's pretty cool. So I like that one. I do have one question, though, because I have a feeling we're going to be talking about 7-footers at one point today. I know you guys did last week, but any chance that John Coker, who's still around, the last impact 7-footer at Boise State, I need to see him shoot some 3-pointers.
I mean, if he's out there, let's get it done. I mean, the legends bracket is literally the legends of Boise State basketball. So we need to get James Reed in touch with him. And I take a small amount of credit for that because they talked about the current players being involved with the TBT team. And I said, well, why stop there? Like, let's get Abe Jackson and Matt Bauscher and some of these guys that are still around town back out there, at least we know they can't do the full game probably, but at least get them out there for the 3-point contest. So yeah, if there's some other names, I mean, Birdo needs to be involved in this somehow. Like we need to, but let's get John out there. And I don't know, maybe who else fans would want to see. I mean, can Tanaka Beard come back for the dunk contest? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be pretty cool the way they're doing this. And I know you mentioned the game itself, the tournament itself. It's obviously an uphill battle for Boise State. Their team and the alumni, I mean, they want to do this. Last year, they had a competitor. 2 years ago, they had a competitive game, lost in the first round. Reggie Larry was the coach last year. And it was just, I'm not trying to speak negatively towards it, but I think they kind of put it together at the last minute. And talking to James Reed, he came on our show on Thursday. Mike, he's been working on this for a really long time, has a great plan in place, and has a really nice roster, I think. Mixing some, the guys of the last, 10 to 12 years or so. So I think fans are going to be really excited about this. And every Thursday we'll announce another player leading up to that's programming, Mike Prater. We got to fill 2 months of programming. I got no co-hosts on Thursdays, so we got this done. So every Thursday you're going to want to find out who the next player is in the TBT tournament. So excited for that. And yes, Mike Prater, there are a couple of basketball players on the roster that I wanted to talk to you about as this roster continues to come forward. And David Moats did a great job. Folks should go back and listen to him with Bob and Johnny there on Friday, I believe it was. So check them out. That interview was great. You got some great insight from David Moats. But 2 new players. What does Mike Prater think about them? Going to ask him in just a second. But first, do want to thank Cutwater Spirits. More than 35 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. You can pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. Perfect for your next game day tailgate or your outing out on the course. Rowpaint.com, our title sponsor. Concrete coatings, highly recommend it. We're moving to a new house, and that's going to be one of the first things we do, Mike Prater, is get that back patio done with the concrete coating from Rowe Painting. Check them out, roepaint.com. Andy Rowe and company. We're very grateful for them. And again, they don't just have the concrete coatings, the residential interior, exterior painting, all your painting needs. Check them out, roepaint.com. I don't know if this has officially been announced, Mike Prater, but I'll go ahead and say it. A new 1-year deal has been struck with Tyson Degenhardt and Idaho Central Credit Union. Tyson Degenhardt has re-upped his NIL deal with ICCU, and as part of that, another year of the Tyson Degenhardt Show on Bronco Nation News. We're actually going to do an episode this week. His girlfriend, Brooke Thompson, part of the softball team, going to make her first appearance on the show. Dylan Anderson is hopeful as well. So don't miss it this week ahead of the softball Mountain West tournament in Boise this week. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. All your banking needs. Check them out, ICCU.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. 13 locations around the state of Idaho. They've got some in surrounding states as well. Download that Ridley's app, and you get 40% off at the checkout line. ShopRidleys.com. And, of course, Bauscher Real Estate, Matt Bauscher. We've already, we're in the works of purchasing a home. We're selling our home, and Matt Bauscher has done a tremendous job. Him and his team really appreciate their help along the way here and his expertise. I found out very quickly why he is the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. So no home is too big or too small. If you're looking to buy your home, Matt, Kelly, the whole team there, they'll take care of you. Check them out at BauscherRealEstate.com. And Mike, as I mentioned, 2 new players on the team. Dylan Anderson is one of the ones that they are happy and excited to have. I also mentioned the softball tournament. I want to give a quick shout out. Tomorrow, we'll have Justin Schultz on with me and Jay at 9:15 or so. They did qualify for the tournament. They're the number 5 seed. They will play a single elimination game on Thursday at 12:30 against Fresno State. If they can win that, they move into the 4-team double elimination bracket. But the Mountain West softball tournament is in Boise this week, starts at 10 a.m. on Thursday. So make sure you check that out if you're around town. And pretty cool. They got the new lights. They're going to host the tournament, kind of another big box to check off and a step forward for Boise State softball. And again, they're coming off a sweep at Colorado State, and Coach Schultz will join Jay and I on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Okay, Mike, Dylan Anderson, the Arizona transfer, 7-footer. You got Javen Buchanan, NAIA, and you hear David Moats talk, and, of course, they're going to talk glowingly about their prospects, or their players, but you hear David Moats talk and how they really expect a guy like Javen Buchanan's game to translate from NAIA to Division I because he was double and triple teamed and had to do some different things. Now they can they think he's going to have a much better chance to kind of only have one guy on him, and they can find more shots for him and the things he can do. Like very intrigued by Javen Buchanan, who visited Nevada and Steve Alford right before he came to Boise State, and then right after went to Texas Tech. And from my understanding, Texas Tech really wanted this kid. They definitely offered him. They really wanted him. Nevada wanted him. Other schools were involved, and Boise State able to get him to come to Boise. Let's start with the NAIA star, Javen Buchanan. Again, I know NAIA has some folks kind of not super excited about this, but when you look at the film, you watch the stats, you hear David Moats talk, you look at the other teams that were interested in him. Is this Chibuzo Abo? No, but is this a guy that's either going to start or have a key role on this team as a guard, and at 6'7" is an intriguing guy? I'm liking the pickup. I'm very curious to see how his game translates here.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page, and I'm not worried about the NAIA tag. That doesn't bother me at all in terms of the player. I mean, if he can play, he can play, and there's guys bubbling up from that level of college basketball and making it happen. So we'll see how it shakes out. For me, it's all about, it seems like it's a good sign on paper. There's no doubt about that. And I don't worry about the stats. I don't worry about the film because of what you just said. At the NAIA level, he had double team, triple teams. It's going to be a completely different game for him, and he's going to have to bring a completely different game to Boise. It's I don't want to say it's a reclamation project, but it's a project. Maybe the proper word here is a developmental project in terms of what Leon Rice is bringing in. And I know with Buchanan and with Anderson and 2 more scholarships left to give, this is what Boise State is. Spencer Danielson constantly reminds us that Boise State football is a developmental program. I don't think Leon Rice uses that phrase, or I don't remember him using that phrase. But again, he's got to bring in a couple of players, get them into the system, get them acclimated to what he wants to do, and develop these guys. The 7-footer, that's a 3-year developmental project, and I think that's good. I got no problem with that. I see some people out there saying that he's an NBA guy. That's a little crazy, a little premature, a little ridiculous for me as we sit here right now. But maybe it can be the next coming of a John Coker. And it's been a long time since Boise State had an impact 7-footer. I don't know if Leon Rice has ever had a 7-footer. I don't know if Greg Graham's ever had a 7-footer. I don't care how many fake 7-footers or 6'11" guys or 7'1" guys have come along. None of them have made a difference. There's been one impact 7-footer in the history of Boise State basketball, and that's John Coker, and that's the only person he should be compared to in terms of John Coker, who came in to Boise as a developmental guy, but he had the big body, and he looked good, and he worked hard, and he got himself into the NBA where he played for a while. So John Coker, to me, is the standard, and maybe this Dylan Anderson kid can be that way. But Javen Buchanan, in terms of coming in and adding a piece to the puzzle, if you look at what they have already, the 4 or 5 main guys that are sticking around and the 2 or 3 guys that they've already added, and knowing that they got 2 more scholarships, I think Leon Rice is, frankly, should I say it, winning the offseason? It might not be home runs, but he's hitting doubles and triples right now.
Yeah, they're not going to replace like 1-for-1 Chibuzo Abo. Like we're not going to sugarcoat that. That was a massive loss, defensively, offensively. Like Abo did a lot of things and would have been an absolute star for this team next year. So we're not. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that one. And that's a massive loss. They weren't expecting it to happen. They're not going to be able to replace him. But I think collectively with some of the guys they've added, they're going to be able to at least get, somewhat close to that production. And when you add in the improvements they're making, in my opinion, I know you're not quite sold yet on Cardenas, but in my mind, the upgrade from Anderson to from Cardenas is, in my mind, is going to, for this team, what this team needs, I think is going to be big. And I think Anderson coming in, I mean, he redshirted last year, Mike Prater, and because Ballo was the 5-star center at Arizona that played all the minutes, and he was going to, maybe play his 5-10 minutes a game as the backup center, and he'd rather save the year. And so he redshirted, practiced every day against an NBA-type player in Ballo, and, again, stories I read, like Arizona was sad to lose him. They thought he was going to be a key player for him this year after redshirting, and he just, for whatever reason, wanted to find a spot somewhere else. He's a 7-footer that can shoot the 3-ball, can play inside out. Like, he fits what Boise State likes in terms of positionless basketball and having a center or an outside guy that can, a big guy that can shoot the outside. I mean, I think we can call him a developmental guy, but I think he's got a good chance to come in and start from day one. I mean, I think they expect a lot of things out of him on this roster. And again, I think he's either second or third, Mike Prater. It depends what rankings you look at in terms of when he was a high school player, the highest ranked high school player that Boise State has now had come in. So again, Gatorade Player of the Year twice in Arizona. Again, barely played the first year, redshirted last year. So I get any kind of skepticism. Like, let's see him prove it on the court. But again, I think we also are at a point where look at some of these other guys they brought in, and I think, again, not to sound like Leon Rice's publicist here, but I mean, I think he deserves a little bit of the benefit of the doubt on some of this. They brought in Chibuzo Abo. He averaged 1 point a game at Texas Tech, and people were saying, oh, this guy couldn't see the floor at Texas Tech, 1 point a game, and look what he turned into. Abu Kijab, I think he might have been under a point a game at Oregon. Barely didn't play that much, didn't put up any stats at Oregon. Comes in, Emmanuel Acott at Arizona, same thing, was a double-digit scorer. So you can't have it both ways. You're not getting the starting center at Duke with numbers to transfer down to a Boise State. So you either have to take these guys that are looking for a rebound and a better level of competition from a Power 5 school, or you're taking the NAIA guy that was the big scorer at the lower level. And so we'll see it when the season starts, Mike Prater, but I'm going to trust Mike Burns and Leon Rice and this staff that they've proven for the most part. I mean, they brought in Najee Smith out of JUCO. He proved to be a serviceable player for a couple of years. Like, for the most part, they've hit on some of these guys. And if they're saying these are going to be two big-time players, like David Mote said, at least for now, I got no choice but to take their word for it.
Well, yeah, and I'm not quite there yet. I'm not taking anybody's word for anything, although I do think that
that's why I love you, Mike Prater. That's why I love you.
But I do think in all fairness, though, I do think Leon Rice at Boise State's had a nice track record of taking these guys. You're not going to go 4 for 4 every year in the transfer portal era when you reinvent your roster. If you can get 2 or 3 guys and they can click and they can develop, and you can send them off into the real world, whether it's a transfer portal or pro basketball overseas or whatever, that's a win. And Leon Rice is winning. I mean, he does a nice job of taking these guys and developing them. But I get a little tired of the and it's the cycle. It's the cycle. And the media is at fault. David Motes is at fault. The coaching staff's at fault. The media, the public is at fault in terms of just every single year you have to justify. It seems like we have to work our asses off extra hard to justify and to rationalize some of these players that Leon is bringing in. But here's the deal. I don't care about the back awards. I don't care about what everybody is saying. I need to see it from my own eyes. And I need to see it in November and December and January. And usually by the time February rolls around, I'm thinking, wow, Leon's kind of got it going on with this player or that player or this team. And then you can see the growth. You can see the development. I've always said, even though Leon Rice gets beat up a lot for not developing his bench, especially late in the season, I agree with that, because late in the season, you shorten your bench and you play your 5, 6, 7 best guys. But I think Leon does a nice job of developing players in season, more so than I do a lot of other basketball coaches. I'm talking about his top 5 or 6, or maybe the newcomers, guys like Buchanan, guys like Anderson, and some of these other guys that can come in. Cardenas isn't going to need any development. He can come in and play right away. And even if the 7-footer comes in and starts right away, that still doesn't mean he's not a project. He's a developmental project, and he's going to be for the entire year next year. He's going to suck at times. He's going to be great at times. And at the end of the year, I promise you, he's going to be better than he was at the start of the year. But is he a difference maker that can take this program to where it needs to go? You know me, I'm still sitting here waiting for an NCAA tournament win. And until that happens, I'm always going to be very skeptical.
Yeah, no doubt, and that's fair. And they do have some, for all the folks that wanted to hate on Max Rice, he made 74 3-pointers last year. Chibuzo Ambo made 76. Those two guys alone, you've got to replace 150 made 3-pointers from last season's team. It's going to be interesting because you basically ended up with a Cardenas, Dylan Anderson, Javen Buchanan trade for Roddy Anderson, Max Rice, and Chibuzo Abo, when you really look at just this potential starting lineup. And again, some guys do some things better. Some guys do some things not as good. I think overall it's at worst, in my opinion, about a push. But we'll see. I also am high on this team, Mike, because in my mind, I know how good Andrew Meadow can be. And I believe that Andrew Meadow is this year going to show people that he's a legit, I don't know if star is the right word, but a budding star or a legit, soon to be all Mountain West type player. Like, I think a lot of people forget that he, whether it be on Boise State, fans or other teams' fans, whatever, like he played behind, Chibuzo Abo and Tyson Degenhart last year. There wasn't, you mentioned, not playing the bench very much. There weren't a lot of minutes for Andrew Meadow to go around, and he hit a couple of huge threes in the St. Mary's game. The VCU game, he came off the bench and basically won them that game. Like, I think some of us forget that Andrew Meadow came in as a high player and is supposed to be like a really, really good player here. And I think, Boise State is also banking on an Andrew Meadow being ready to play 25 minutes a game next year and be a key player for this team, in addition to the Chris Lockett's, the Ugbos, the RJ Keene getting better. Like, I think they're, whether it's one of Julian Bowie and Pearson Carmichael, the freshman coming in, I know fans may not want to hear some of that, but I also think that they're expecting big improvements from some of these guys.
Well, of course they are. I mean, everybody is. You and I are, and the fan base are, and the coaches are. Everybody is. And like I said in the last comment, it's going to happen under Leon Rice. There's no doubt about that. They're going to get developed. Leon Rice plays 7, 8, 9 players at the most, and that's somewhere where he gets criticized in the offseason or in the late season. But he's already got. I mean, I don't care about the Keens and everybody else kind of lower on this roster. Tyson, Omar, Lockett, Ugbo, Meadow, Cardenas, Buchanan, and Anderson. He's got 8 players right now. That's the core of his basketball team. 8 players. And if he can turn Keene into some kind of a support developmental guy, if he can take these other 2 scholarships and find niche roles for them, all of a sudden, does Leon Rice have a foundation of 8, 9, 10 players instead of 7, 8, 9 players? So I think it's off to a decent start in terms of the offseason. Chibuzo's going to hurt forever. That's going to hurt forever, as you brought up. That one sucks. That one stinks bad, and I don't like that one at all. But I think by pieces, he can put all this together, and he's got the core of his team right now, and if you can build a couple of pieces around it and make that core just a little bit better, I do have faith in what Leon can do right now, and patience isn't a problem. I'm not worried about the timing. I know 2 weeks ago people were upset. Where's Leon's news? The transfer portal is slow. It's tedious. There's 1,000+ players in that transfer portal. If you can't find 2 more difference makers, then they should probably find another profession. But I have all the doubts, all the promise in the world that Leon Rice and his company can go out and find at least a couple more players to add to this roster next year.
I saw this tweet from Kevin Sweeney today. Mike Prater, he works with Sports Illustrated. So only 36 of the top 200 transfers in the transfer portal rankings are still available, with a few likely to stay in the draft. So you have about 30, of the top 200 transfers still out there without a school, but you have over half the high major schools still with 2+ scholarships available looking for guys.
Wow.
He says there are no longer enough good players to go around in the portal. So there are too many guys that, too many openings on teams and not enough good players, I guess. And he says the impact here is you're going to have good players still available are going to have lots of leverage in the NIL market because there's not as many good players left. But he also said you're going to have, players that are already committed to schools still trying to be poached by these high major schools who have openings on their roster. A guy like Alvaro Cardenas, Mike Prater, which my understanding has still had multiple other schools trying to call him and pry him away from Boise State. Until a guy like Alvaro Cardenas shows up and enrolls in classes at Boise State in early June, is not technically bound to Boise State. So this NIL world is just crazy. These guys announce it. Same for a Dylan Anderson or all these guys. Like the school can announce it, they can post it, whatever, and they're locked in. But it's kind of like when Ashton Genty said he was staying the first time, then the transfer portal opened again. Technically, their commitments are non-binding, so you're still going to see a lot of crazy stuff. And we saw John Tanji, a player that used to play at Colorado State, went somewhere else, commits to New Mexico, and then literally 3 hours later puts out a new graphic saying he committed to Wisconsin. So you're going to see some weird stuff continue to happen. I believe I'm not saying this to worry Boise State fans. All indications are these guys are all locked in 100% Broncos. But as I said, you have it's kind of the Wild West out there until these guys enroll for classes. Nobody on any roster is locked in.
And that's weird. I mean, and I know tampering is happening, every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month when it comes to college basketball. That's where your phrase, the Wild West, comes into play. And you can't even jump in the transfer portal right now. So the fact that you can kind of dabble and interfere and come on and talk to other players, that's kind of crazy to me. Eventually, the NCAA somehow needs to tighten up that. And I know they're working on it. It's really trying to cram that toothpaste back into the tube, and it's very, very impossible to do. But that would be unfortunate. That would be a major blow to the psyche of this program and its fan base, and obviously the coaching staff who put so much time and effort into going out and getting these guys. So for every press release we see, there's 100 man hours of work in terms of getting that guy to this point, and losing him would be a crushing blow. But you know what? That would be too unfortunate. I don't even want to think about that. I told you I was grumpy today, BJ. Don't make me more grumpy. Come on, man.
I didn't say that to worry anybody. I have no indications any of that is happening. I don't expect that to happen. These guys are locked in. I'm just saying in general, there's way more spots out there than high-level players, so just some weird stuff could still be happening. I guess my also point is, we'll see what kind of impactful type player they can get with the last two spots here. I would expect.
What do you think they need? What do you think that they need with these two spots?
I mean, they could certainly use another shooter. But again, if you're talking about you have Cardenas as the point guard. Obviously, Degenhart and Stanley are starting. I believe that Anderson, based on the NIL component that I heard and just everything I've read with Anderson, I believe the plan is to start Anderson at the 5, move, they'll have one of the biggest front courts, maybe in the West Coast, if they have Anderson, Stanley, and Tyson all starting. But that 2 spot, I think, is where the intrigue is, because I think they really do like Buchanan. I think he's going to be a major factor, whether he starts, whether Andrew Meadows starts. Those are the 2 leading candidates I would think right now. And then whoever doesn't start will be a key contributor. But you've got Keene coming off the bench. The backup point guard is obviously probably going to be Lockett. They could certainly use another shooter, I think, if they can find them. But if the season started tomorrow, I don't think the roster they have is that. I still think right now, I've seen a lot of people say they're the favorites. Right now, as it stands, with other teams still looking to add players too, Boise State might be the favorite in the Mountain West next year already. A lot of these teams lost a lot of players. This is a pretty solid roster. If they can go find one more guy, that would almost be like icing on the cake at this point. But you mentioned Leon not going deeper than 7-8, and they've already got, I think, 7 or 8 really that they would like. So I expect, that kind of core to be Meadow and Keene and Ugbo's your backup big that they really like. And I'm a Lockett. So we'll see if they can find one more guy, but I fully expect, Mike, that it would probably only be one more guy. I think the last spot is either saved or they, get another redshirt freshman guy that's probably going to redshirt for them or not play much and kind of be a developmental guy. Because we've talked about this, Mike, and the one thing that is nice about both and probably was intriguing about Anderson and about Buchanan, and I know it's all about this year and Tyson's senior year and wanting to do it this year, but Anderson has 3 years left and Buchanan has 2. And you're talking about Cardenas being a senior, Degenhart's a senior, Stanley's a senior. You're losing a lot of key guys from your roster this year. So to bring some guys in that can start or play major roles and then have them kind of be the anchor the following season, I think probably played into the way they kind of shaped the roster as well.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. I like that idea a lot. I don't need another person for next year. The core is here, although the shooter part absolutely needs. I know that was Bob Beeler's number one offseason need when we did some stuff here at Idaho Sports Talk Ball Game, and I talked about the need for a shooter. You just brought that up. Go out and find yourself the best shooter. It doesn't have to be a starter. Obviously, he needs to fit within your system and fit in your locker room and all the chemistry boxes and all that other stuff, but Boise State needs a shooter. You just mentioned how many three-pointers they lost from last season, and even last season, as good as those 2 were, it was a struggle at times, and struggling with the shooting part has always been an issue for me with Leon Rice's teams. If he's going to have those big boys, those 3 big boys underneath the basket roaming around, you need a shooter to open things up for them, or if things could get really difficult. So yeah, go off and find your best shooter available, and hopefully it's one of those top 40 guys that are still left out of the top 200. And if you can get yourself a shooter, I think Leon Rice has done himself one heck of a job this offseason.
And I would counter that by saying, which I agree, yes, go find a shooter if you can find them. But they that shooter could be Andrew Meadow. I mean, they do really think he's a good shooter that's going to be better. And don't forget, Cardenas shot 40% from three. Like, Cardenas is a much better shooter than Roddy Anderson from three-point range, too. So the fact that they're not going to be able to play off of Cardenas like they did Roddy Anderson, I mean, they just left Roddy Anderson wide open at times. And I know they're not going to be able to do that with a guy like Cardenas. So I think that changes it for other guys as well in terms of how they're played defensively. So we'll see what happens with the roster here moving forward. I believe the next couple of weeks are big recruiting cycles in terms of the high school market as well for like the juniors and the younger players. So we'll see kind of where the roster goes. But David Mote said, hey, we're always looking. If there's a guy out there, we're going to see what we can do and try to improve this team. So I personally wouldn't expect them to go make another kind of impactful addition, but we'll see what happens. They got 2 spots. That's a really nice spot to be in, 2 spots at this point, and we'll see what happens. We got a couple minutes left, Mike Prater. I want to ask you about C.J. Tiller transferring to Utah State and a little bit of quick football news. But first, do want to thank Lithia Ford of Boise. LithiaFordBoise.com. Check them out. Lithia Ford of Boise. Again, they're going to have all their NIL guys out there at the golf tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun to see Ahmed Hassani and those guys out there. Lithia Ford of Boise. Check them out online. View that full inventory of vehicles. Then go on in, test drive, be on your way at LithiaFordBoise.com. Taco Bell, they are hiring for all the local freestanding Treasure Valley Taco Bell stores. TacoBellWorks.com. You can get more information. And again, if you need quick cash, you can't wait 3 weeks for that first paycheck. They'll give you half your wages the very next day after you work. And also you get free food during your shift. So Taco Bell, check them out. Highly recommend them as a career path. And they have a nice chance to move up in the company. And again, they are big supporters of BNN and Boise State as well. So check them out. Thanks to the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family, TacoBellWorks.com. The Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Hey, we're talking about NIL. We're talking about a couple of donors around town really stepping up to make this happen. All I'll say is go support the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Travis Hawks and Company, whether it's shirts, jerseys, caps, they got Mike Prater. He just loves the logo for the Ashton Genty Heisman shirt. You can go buy that shirt at the Blue and Orange Store. All the other NIL jerseys, jerseys, all that stuff. Check them out, the Blue and Orange Store there on the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall. Next to Pro Image or online. Again, free shipping, any orders of $40 or more online. Again, if you need a job, how about the trucking industry? Transportation Compliance Service, transcomservice.com, DOT, overweight permits, all the things you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. Maybe you never thought of the trucking industry as a career, but it's actually a very rewarding one, and you should give it a shot and let the folks at Transportation Compliance Service help you out. transcomservice.com. LeanFeastMeridian.com. I'm heading out there today. Check out Dave and his staff. They do a tremendous job. The website is wrong there. It's LeanFeastMeridian.com, not LeanFeast / So LeanFeastMeridian.com. Check them out. Prater and I are actually going to be doing a show out there here in the near future. Looking forward to that. Maybe they'll even let Prater and I get behind the. Maybe they shouldn't, but we can get behind the dais there or whatever, and make some meals for folks in the line. I would love to get some video of somebody walking in and there's Mike Prater making his lunch. But LeanFeastMeridian.com, check it out. And again, healthy meals, any kind of diet, any style, fully customizable. Check them out at LeanFeastMeridian.com. All right, final thing or two here real quick. A couple people commented very unhappy with C.J. Tiller and of all places going to Utah State. A little puzzling there, Mike Prater, that they've brought in 2 transfer quarterbacks from the Power 5. He's not. They've already named a starter. In some ways, he looks like he's going from third string to third string at a Mountain West school. What is your take on C.J. Tiller? And I'm trying to find the quote real quick. Robert says, I'm never going to believe anything these Boise State football players say. Tiller came on to the Prater Johnny ballgame show, talked about loyalty, love to BSU, toughness. Then he transfers. Don't trust these kids again. Transfers after a horrible spring game. What do you make of what we heard from C.J. Tiller and then his decision to transfer and the fact that he lands in the Mountain West?
Well, the fact that he landed in the Mountain West, I saw some people that were kind of butthurt. I was down in Utah over the weekend, and I saw some social media comments and some people going back and forth. And since when did Boise State become intimidated by Utah State football? Who cares where C.J. Tiller went? And if you're all butthurt because he stayed in the Mountain West and went to Utah State, you've got some serious shoe problems. Go see a counselor, get some therapy, and get that thing fixed right now. In terms of C.J. Tiller, I do wish these kids would keep their mouth closed because it kind of backfired. Chabuzo said the same thing right here in this exact same studio. I'm not transferring. I love it here. You know what? In this day and age, in this world, you just say, well, I'm very happy here at Boise State, and I hope to be happy here forever. I'm telling them what to say. That's kind of on me. I get that. CJ Tiller going to Utah State, it does seem like a slide in terms of he's going from third string to third string. There's no doubt about that. Their backup is Bryson Barnes, the pig farmer out of Utah, who I thought had a pretty good chance to win that starting job in the spring. He got beat out, so I think he's going to be a really comfortable number 2. I've seen this guy play. I've seen this guy play in the Rose Bowl. He's pretty good. He's pretty good for the Mountain West. I don't know if he's going to be a difference maker, and obviously he's number 2 right now. So CJ, he's better than CJ Tiller, I'll promise you that. And I like CJ. I like him as a person, and I like him as a quarterback. So maybe it was a little bit more personal here than we thought. Maybe something happened. I don't know. Maybe that and going to James Madison, that's another transfer portal. The transfer portal is a very humbling experience. And you go out there just because you started a bowl game against UCLA, all of a sudden you think you're going to get picked up. And James Madison and Utah State were the only people that offered, according to some of the reports. That to me is a little bit sobering for CJ Tiller. Maybe he just took the best chance. Maybe he took the closest thing to home. He's very close to his family, which lives in Southern California. And going to James Madison would have been absolutely brutal for that family. So I think that was very curious, very dumb. I'm glad he made the decision he did because he was never going to play here. I was just very curious as to why he ended up at Utah State.
Well, if you have a question like that for Spencer Danielson, you want to know about NIL or the transfer portal or how some of this stuff works, again, for Thursday, May 30th, the night before the golf tournament, we're doing an exclusive happy hour event, a Q&A with Spencer Danielson and some other coaches and players, and all questions are on the table there. So buy a foursome to the golf tournament, play in the afternoon, and then come hang out the night before with Spencer Danielson and some of your favorite players and coaches. And yes, maybe even Mike Prater. If you're on the fence, you can come schmooze with Mike Prater there. Maybe that'll be enough to get you across the finish line. So would love to sell this thing out. I hope you join us. And by the way, Josh, I would love the free beer. Let's see, he says the proposed starting 5. You're correct. I'll buy you a beer. I'm going with both. Right now, I'm going with both new guys. I got all 3 new guys. But I got Cardenas, I got Buchanan, I got Degenhart, I got Stanley, and I got Anderson. So I think both new guys right now are going to find their way in the starting lineup. We'll see what happens. Sometimes Leon makes you earn that. Maybe the first game they don't start. But Josh, I'll take a Mick Ultra from our friends at Stein Distributing, and it's on the line there. So thank you, Josh. Mike, thank you as always. It's Monday. I know you haven't had your show meeting yet, but anything you want to throw out in terms of today or this week on Idaho Sports Talk?
Yeah, we're going to start a 15-part series on Boise State football, the 15 most important players on this roster. We did it before the spring game or before spring camp. We're doing it post-spring camp. We're going to kind of compare the two so you can look and see who developed, who rose, who fell, and we're going to take a look at the 15 most important players on this roster.
You stole my summer countdown thing. Come on, Mike Prater. We'll be starting our 54-part series here on next week as well. So
a number countdown. You can go there. There's many different ways to dress up this off-season pig, yes. And we're all just trying to do the same.
Appreciate you, Mike. Thanks to JP for as well. We'll be listening 3 to 6 today with Bob, JP, Prater, Johnny, the whole gang there at KTIK. So thank you, as always, for your Monday appearance and getting up, Mike Prater. Thank you to all of our commenters, all of our sponsors. Go support the sponsors, folks. Go subscribe if you can. But right now, most importantly, let's fill up this golf tournament. Get some friends together. Come hang out in the afternoon with us, and it's going to be a lot of cool. You get some balls, a golf towel, all kinds of cool stuff. And again, maybe the chance to shake Mike Prater's hand at lunch. That might be worth it right there. So have a great rest of your Monday. If any news breaks, we'll pop on back. Otherwise, 9 a.m. tomorrow, I'll get Jay Tuss' thoughts on all this. Justin Schultz, the softball coach, joins us to preview the Mountain West tournament as well. A lot going on. Listen, 3 o'clock today, Idaho Sports Talk, and then we'll talk to you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Bronco Nation News live here at BroncoNationNews.com.